Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and today is sweet tea time. For those new to the channel, this is just Brad giving a summary of the week, his thoughts. You never know what Brad's going to talk about on sweet tea. I will talk about a ETF today. I normally don't, but a new ETF came out again this week. Almost like this week was just crazy. There was Soxy and all these other ETFs. I'm going to talk about one today. I'm not going to review it. I'm just going to give you some basic thoughts, let you go research it. I'll do a video later this week. I reached out to the fund manager, asked him a question, and it's a fund manager I actually know. So a little upset that he didn't let me know that it came out. Upset that my audience didn't say, hey, how about this fund? You missed one, people. Just thought I'd throw it out. And it's an interesting one, especially if you're in one of their other funds. Well, two other funds. Or anyway, other funds. YouTube's doing well. Actually, I think YouTube is interesting. I think this is still a learning curve for Brad. And we'll get there. You know, my video editing skills are slowly growing. I do all my own editing. I do all my own recording. I'm a one-man band. I do all my own research. I mean, I was doing research last night at 10 o'clock. That's why that fund manager hasn't gotten back to me yet, because I emailed him. It would have been 11 o'clock his time. Hey, it's Sunday. I didn't understand why these guys didn't email me back. He will. He'll get back to me on Monday morning when normal people work. But hey, I'm just out there researching, thinking about different things, checking out different underlyings. I enjoy it. I truly do enjoy it. And I enjoy a lot of the conversations. Most of the conversations. Actually, the conversations are getting really good. I actually like all the comments this week. There was one comment this week that I was just like, what? But hey, it was critical feedback, and hey, I took it. You know, but to each their own. He didn't like my style. I don't know. It wasn't funny enough for him. Okay. Anyway, maybe I had a little more sarcasm than some people can handle. But hey, that's Brad. I'm a sarcastic guy. Pretty good guy to hang out with, to have a drink maybe, sometimes. Not all the time. Never know. Don't know which Brad's going to show up. Today, is it Brad? Hey, by the way, I'm running a fan in the background. So I left the door a little bit open because it was still hot in here because my Bitcoin miners ran all night because Bitcoin's over $100,000. Why would I not be running my Bitcoin miners? One thing I'm going to talk about real quick is this book. I'm getting through it. It's a nice book. It is interesting. I actually did a call this week with a gentleman. We talked about this actual book and what it says inside this book. And there's a lot of good points in the book. I'm working on my own book. Taking a little bit from Steven, taking a little bit from this, giving my own thoughts, my own analysis. You know, things have changed. He believes in a lot of the older stuff. And that's what happens when you're older. Yeah, he really talks about closed-end funds, but his risk pyramid is, you know, pretty spot on. Even though Brad's risk pyramid won't be quite like his, because for him, all equities are risky. Ooh, equity bad. Which you just have to sit back and go, I don't get it, but you know, maybe he doesn't believe the stock market's up and to the right. Each their own. But he did bring up a good point. Yeah, one of his rules is your income needs to be 30% more than what you need. Brad's sitting a lot higher than that. And it's interesting that he pointed out 30. I think that's a good starting point. I'm just a lot more than that. Right now I'm taking about 5%. I'm shooting for 8. I'm earning 14. All I can do is go like this with my hands, going, I don't have to worry about the markets. I don't have to worry about where the food's going to come next week or anything else. So that's just Brad's thoughts. Link to the book down below, just in case you want to go check it out and read. I always recommend reading. I want to do slightly more book reviews, talk about books, because it's educational. And I think somebody, I don't know, Warren Buffett, you can never not invest enough in your own education. And I believe in books, reading books. I think Bill Gates reads books. Warren Buffett reads books. I mean, maybe it's just an old person thing. Maybe we just old people read books, but something you should do. And I'm trying to sort out which ones you should read, which ones you shouldn't read. I don't know. Even bad books you can read. This was an easy read. You know, this is not something that takes a lot of time to read. One thing I'll throw out right now, Seeking Alpha is still having their sale. So if you're interested, links below, get the discount. It's still the Black Friday sale. It's going to end, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 11th this week is what they said. So interested, check it out. If you don't know, I get a lot of stuff from them. A lot of stuff. Matter of fact, a lot of this data that I'm going to present today actually comes from Seeking Alpha. So anyway, some of these graphs are not. You can tell which ones are and which ones aren't. But anyway, just thought I'd throw it out for a conversational point. But let's talk about Google's long-held research ad dominance is losing footing to other platforms. Okay, sure, I can see that. Google also got sued. And if you didn't know, Nancy Pelosi somehow sells her Google stock right before the announcement of them getting sued. So you just sit back and go, that is just bad. Just bad. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you are, because both sides does the same thing, and it's just bad. They shouldn't be able to do that. That's just Brad's personal opinion. The other one is U.S. data centers or construction. Funding soars. I told you I believe in AI. I think this is an investment for the next 10 years. You know, data centers are going to need NVIDIA graphics cards, the Blackwell rollout. I mean, when a company has a product that is sold out for 1 year, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And that brings me to another one. The Biden administration tightened tech restrictions on China, limiting advanced chip sales and manufacturing equipment. U.S. semiconductors rallied this week. Okay, so Condoleezza Rice, if you know who she might have been, I sat on a call with her, and she told us that both sides of the aisle both believe in China being a threat. Just how these politics are playing out, who knows? I mean, I made a comment last week about tariffs on China, and somebody says, oh, it's going to cost this. Hey, look, both sides of the fence realize China is a threat for technology, and even Biden is jumping in. So don't blame one party or the other party. She said that both sides of the aisle can agree on that subject matter. That's pretty important. That's one that you don't hear too often, is somebody saying something like that. One thing you don't probably know about Brad is Brad believes in renewable energies. I do. I just don't believe that we should be subsidizing them. That is my personal opinion. And I'm all for drill, baby, drill. But we should tax that drill. And it's not just a presidential order. We need to get Congress and everybody else to actually put a law that we tax that drilling, and that drilling subsidizes just different way of going about it, but it's got to be a law, because if we don't make it a law, then these guys are just going to spend our money, and it's really our money on whatever programs they want to do, and you really got to make it a law to be able to do this. I'm all about wind and solar. You know, if I didn't have a diesel truck, you know, just the opposite side of the fence, I would have a energy efficient or gas efficient or semi-hybrid. I mean, my wife and I had a Prius for a while. Yeah, believe it or not, I used to ride around in a Prius. But hey, you're getting that kind of mileage and you're only filling up your tank once a week compared to twice a week. It makes a difference. And I truly believe in it. And here's the guy that's Bitcoin mining in the background. So just thought I'd throw it out for conversation. Two sides of the fence. Yes, Brad talks both sides, but renewable energy, I just throw this out. I thought it was a good slide about how much raw materials go into building a wind turbine. I don't think people realize all that goes into building a wind turbine, because all that manufacturing is not very environmental friendly, just thought I'd throw it out. So, you know, which side of the fence are you on? Do you believe in wind turbines? You know, a lot of raw materials, a lot of rare earth materials, copper, aluminum, steel, concrete. Yeah, there you go. Something to think about. It's not always environmental friendly. Next one is food security. Now that's a good one. Food security is, I don't know, relevant because not everybody in the United States gets to eat healthy. My wife is on this health kick and is getting rid of the red dyes. I think that's a good one, right? For me, when I look at this, it says 8% is spent on food away from the home. Wow, that's a lot of money, personal opinion. I know that I am not at 8%. I don't go to the restaurants as often as somebody might think. I don't. I think we go out probably once every 2 weeks, thereabouts. My wife does a very good job of cooking. Why go out to eat when you got a chef at home? And, you know, there you go. I think we need to take this into consideration. And there's a whole thing about beef processing. So I went to a lot of beef plants out in Dodge City, Kansas. Yes, the original Dodge City. You know, the one that's in all the movies and they talk about Dodge City. Get out of Dodge. Yeah, you should get out of Dodge. They kill 30,000 head a day. That's a lot of cows. There's one up in Greeley, Colorado, that kills well over 10,000 head a day. That's a lot of cows. If you naturally grazed all this cattle, you need more land than what's in North America. It's just conversation. So food, something we need to consider, and how this looks for our grandkids is more important than what it looks for us, because it's too late for me. I already had too much red dye. Matter of fact, I bet there's red dye in my sweet tea today because it's flavored water and not real sweet tea. Just throw it out. Got to keep the diabetes away. Well, anyway, food security. That's another interesting conversation. Hopefully that inspires you to think about it. I think I've talked about U.S. debt and who holds U.S. debt before. Looking at that, Federal Reserve. How does the Federal Reserve actually hold U.S. debt? Got to think about that. They're playing the market. They're making the market go up. Pension funds? Oh, put your risk. State? That's just another slide. Notice China has been declining. Great Britain is declining. Japan is declining. Another interesting one. Top performing S&P 500 stocks. That's another good one. Past 5, 10, 15, 20. And NVIDIA just really became an S&P 500. Just thought I'd throw it out. But you can take a look at that. Take it as it is. Maybe that's something you want to do something with, doing some type of analysis on. I don't know. Domino's Pizza. I remember when Domino's Pizza was a buy. You could have done really well if you bought Domino's Pizza 15 years ago. Just one of those subject matters. You could really have done well if you just bought Domino's Pizza. Didn't think that was going to be a thing, but everything that goes on, never know what actual stocks. And that's why I don't do individual stocks. A book, that's a good one. So all these individual stocks fall at the bottom of his risk pyramid, because they are the riskiest things that you could probably do is buy individual stocks. Just throw it out there for a risk profile for income investors. So when you talk about a Misty or coin or coiny, these are the riskiest things that you could be doing. Not me. This is, somebody else's analysis. I tend to agree with them. They are risky, and that's why I only have a couple. Which, by the way, if you're playing along the game of Brad's Propulsion 8, all I can do is laugh. 2 weeks in, we're up over 4%. That's all I can do is put my hands up. 4% in 2 weeks. So $500,000, if you would have went all in, what are you up? $80,000? Just throw it out. It's you've got to pick. If you're going to play stuff like that, you got to use momentum and trend setting. I'm going to do some more videos on trends. I like playing the trends. Always bet with the trend and not against the trend. There's some not financial, legal, other advice. I think you guys know that by now. Already saw the disclaimer. But hey, let's look at America's richest and poorest states versus G7 countries. Oh, isn't that just amazing? Canada, come on, Canada. You're below our second poorest state. Germany is below our second poorest state. UK is below our poorest state. France, Italy, Japan. I think that just tells you what you should be investing in and what you shouldn't be investing in. Foreign investments should not be a significant portion. You'll be just fine with the US. You can play some of these other markets, but it's a conversation that you really need to think about, and that's everybody's own risk tolerance. Right? When you look at America is carrying the G7, whew, wow, we're like 52%. That's amazing when you look at that chart. Again, somebody else's chart. Just thought I'd present it. I actually got to watch the Canadian news this week, and they were already talking about the Trump tariffs on the Canadian news. So we have already hit other countries' news. You don't know, my wife's European, so I'm forced at times to watch the French news, the German news, the Canadian news, the Belgian news. I'm just forced to watch all these different news. Just throw it out. I mean, it's amazing all the different news that I have to watch. Mandatory watching, right? Not just the U.S. news. And I read the Irish Times. That's another one that I go out and read every now and then, is the Irish Times. So you get a different perspective other than Fox, CNN, and CNBC. I highly recommend going to a foreign country newspaper or other news source and see what they say compared to the sources in the United States, because sometimes getting a different perspective is extremely good for everybody. Hey, let's look at top 15 Gift cards. Woohoo! Visa. Hey, if you want to buy me a gift card, no, you don't buy me a gift card. Don't need a gift card. That's craziness. All right. The longest work weeks. I am not a fan of long work weeks. I think it takes away from productivity. I really do. I think it takes away from productivity. Now, I noticed that the Netherlands has the lowest work week at 29 hours. I didn't even know that they worked 29 hours. I laugh. The reason I'm laughing is I worked for a European company and have way more holidays than we do and vacations. St. Nicholas was December 5th. Throwing it out that they have so many holidays over there. They're lucky that they work 30 hours a week, just on average. So just another conversation. So let's talk about gold. I mentioned a while ago that there was going to be a new gold ETF coming out. And that's the one that I was talking about earlier. There's a new gold ETF. And according to Seeking Alpha, when the dollar and yields rise, gold likely goes down. That is a very good quantitative analysis of gold. Interesting. So what does this have to do with anything else? Well, there's a new gold ETF out. YGLD. Simplify. So if you're an SFAL or a Maxi person, you might want to look at this. Now, if you're not a Bitcoin person, get it. I fully get it. I get a little criticism about Bitcoin. Here's another commodity, in which, by the way, according to this book, commodities fall down in that risk territory. But here's another commodity that you can make an income on. I have to think about it. Well, let me go ahead and share some thoughts. I went and looked at the underlyings. This is what Brad does on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. He looked at the underlyings. So they hold gold futures. Interesting. Just like Maxi holds Bitcoin futures. Every single one of their income overlays, including MSTR, let's throw it out there, is also in Maxi. So the only difference between Maxi, which is Bitcoin, and YGLD happens to be which future contracts that they have. That's the only difference. Besides, Maxi has more contracts because they've been around longer. I just went through and it's 100% correlated. Their contracts are 100% correlated. There it is. You just can't make it up. Oh, by the way, this is 150%. So it's leveraged gold at 150%. So keep that in mind. It's interesting. I love the word contango. So gold and Bitcoin are in contango. I'll show you how to look that up in a video coming up this week. You can actually go out to the CBOE, look at it every month, plot it out, and tell if it's in contango or backwardation. If you're new, we'll work on those two terms. I've talked about it before. I don't know. I think it's a made-up term. I think these financial people made those terms up so the average Joe couldn't understand it. But we'll break it down. It's not that difficult. Not that difficult at all. It's either the chart goes up to the right or the chart goes down to the right. One of the two. They just came up with fancy words for it. But both of those are in contango. So my comment is they both should go up in price and get distributions in price over time because they're both in contango. Just thought I'd throw it out. So Brad came out with he's not going to buy equities or reinvest in his equity-based covered calls until it beats the 50-day moving average. I think that's a pretty good indication of when you should be buying and when you shouldn't be buying. When I'm not buying these, I take the extra revenue that I'm generating and I buy like CLOs or something else, Bitcoin ETFs, maybe some gold ETF, some other income generating portion that is not correlated to equities. CLOs are 44% correlated to equities. That's why I'm buying CLOs. Claws I'm building out, very safe. I'm building out claws. Once claws is built out, I'm actually looking at a high yield bond, the one from Neos. And when things turn south for the stock market, that's when I'll be reinvesting everything back into equities, including any extra revenue I'm getting from CLOs will go back into equities. So just to give you some thoughts of what's going on in Brad's head. So the first graph is the buy rate, CBOE. This one is SPX. The second graph is going to show you the NASDAQ. And you can still see it's well above the 50-day. The one that does not correspond to everything else is the Russell. You can see where the Russell is compared to the other two charts that I just showed you. Brad is not reinvesting back into the Russell until this changes. Just throw it out. I'm going to collect my revenue, take my 8%, take what I need to actually live. Right now it's about 5%, and reinvest everything else into something else to generate more income. Just a way to go about it. If you look at US dollar, it is up against most for the month, for the year. Don't know, but it's something to think about. If the dollar becomes weaker, gold goes up. Interesting. Bitcoin versus financial conditions. And you can say this about gold. Really, you could take that same financial conditions. As financial conditions get better, gold should see an increase. Just, if you believe in gold, believe in Bitcoin, don't know, not financial advice, pick your poison. Just showing the chart, as it loosens up, you should see prices go up. You're going to see it stagger. You're going to see it go down. Don't get involved in the day-to-day worries. I try not to. Next one is going to be the Dixie, and 2-year treasuries are going down, and you can see S&P futures and Bitcoin going up. You can create that on TradingView yourself if you choose to do so. I don't. I get it from Seeking Alpha. And looking at the different parts of the markets. Right now, growth is leading the way compared to value. Just putting it out there for you to think about. Growth is leading the way over value. Consumer discretionary remains the sector with the best 1 month performance. And really, this is really due to the strong Black Friday sales. They reported Black Friday sales was up, and so you're going to have consumers up there. Financial services are still up there. Technology this month seems to be slowly coming up. But you can see this. The weakest sectors was basic materials, healthcare, real estate. Technology was down a little bit, Friday. So, hey, take it as it is. I share these charts every week with you. You can actually graph this over time. You can use Seeking Alpha to find it yourself. But I thought I'd throw it out because as long as consumer discretionary is leading, that tells me the U.S. people are buying. Or it doesn't even have to be U.S. people. People are buying because they believe in the economy, or they're buying because they actually just need the stuff to live on. One of the two. I need the stuff to live on. Well, that's the end of my slides and graphs and charts. Gave you my thoughts for the week. I think it's going to be, I think we're going to get a Santa rally. I do. I think a Santa rally is coming. It is what it is. I think we'll see where the markets go. I don't. I only care if the markets go down to buy more. This coming week, I will do a new series of Basic 101. I'm going to go all the way back. I think what I talk about a lot of times, sometimes is medium, and sometimes it's actually can be complicated. So I'm going to go back to Basic 101 because I've skipped a lot of steps for you to think about. And we're just going to throw out the math, share my thoughts on this. I think once you see the math, you'll be realizing that's why I do what I do, because it's more math-based than guessing-based. I mean, I think it's it'll be a good one for you to see some of my thought process, right or wrong. My thought process could be 100% wrong, but I don't think so. I think my thought process is based in some different logic than a lot of other people, including some of these authors, actually. I mean, I'll just throw that out. I think when you hear some of the thought process of what goes through my mind, you'll be interested. Maybe you're not. Who knows? Anyway, end this week too. Thank you for watching this far along, and have a great weekend. Go Chiefs. Chiefs play tonight, and get ready for Christmas. Until next time, God bless.